Oh, I can already hear a cat. I can't even get started and there's already one at the window. That's it. Wasn't a very good landing, was it? Right. Hello. So in my last video, which was 2 hours long, and I don't blame anyone for not watching it because it was 2 hours long and also had a lot of audio sync issues, which I'm very sorry about, and I will make sure I avoid with this one. There was a lot in that video. I was completely remodeling this side and that side of my workshop. But one of the things that was in it was these little things, which are like drill guides for the edges of, principally for sheet goods. This one is for 18mm stock. This one's for 12mm stock. And the idea is that if you're using screws to connect two pieces of sheet goods in a butt joint like that, then this one will allow you to put the drill hole precisely 6mm inbound from the edge for 12mm stock, and then this one does exactly the same thing, but it puts the hole 9mm inbound from the edge. And in that video, I kind of half jokingly said if any metal workers out there can help make some out of metal, I'd be very interested. Sadly, nobody's got in touch with me because nobody's probably ever going to watch that video, which is fine. But I want to do a better job. There's two problems with these. Well, not really problems, but two things I'd like to do better. One I think I can solve today, one I think I can't. The one I think I can't solve today is using metal. I'm going to have to use wood again. But I'm going to use a harder bit of wood. I'm going to use some walnut. This is a walnut, an offcut from the upstand that goes around the worktop in my utility room. I'm going to rip it down the middle and use it with slightly harder wood, because one of the problems with these being made out of wood and not metal is that obviously these holes will get bigger over time. And even with walnut that'll still happen, but hopefully it's a little bit harder maybe, I don't know. The other problem is it's not really a problem, but I've just got 2mm, 3mm and 4mm holes on these, and I'd like to do a full set of everything from 2 to 6mm with the half mils in between, which is 9 holes. So 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5 and 6. 9 holes. I mean, I'm never going to put a 6mm screw into 12mm MDF, 6mm from the edge, but just for the sake of completeness, so they're both identical, I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to make that. Like I say, I did look at whether I could make stuff out of metal myself, and I looked at two ways of doing it. One, I looked at like drill sleeve collars, like little bushings that would hold the drills. I can't find a full set of all 9 of those hole sizes in metal. If I could, I would absolutely be drilling out for the bushings and tapping the bushings in with a hammer. But I can only find I can find like 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and then at that point the half sizes get really hard to find. In metal, in plastic you can find them, but I've been on like acu.co.uk and those engineering sites that have lots of parts. Can't find them. Can't find a full set of bushings. I've even looked on like AliExpress, Temu and all that. I just can't find a full set in the half sizes all the way. So then I thought about angle iron, if I can get some thick angle iron, because the other thing about these, as well as putting the hole in from the edge a certain amount, they also hold the drill, because I do these on the drill press, or I did these on the drill press, and I'll be doing the new one on the drill press, they also hold the drill perfectly kind of parallel, so that when you do your butt joint, the drill, it goes through there parallel, and then when you do the butt joint, when you've got them together, it works. So yeah, I thought about using angle iron, some thick angle iron, and drilling through that. Problem with that is where you get the angle on angle iron like that, this inside corner is rounded quite often, so it doesn't sit nicely, like a square would on the edge of the wood. So that's not ideal. So yeah, so like I say, if any metal workers watching and you think you can do a better job of what I'm about to do in this video, please do shout, because I'd love to make some versions that don't grow over time, where the holes don't grow over time. And obviously these are completely unnecessary. Plenty, hello, you're right there, Pussycat. Plenty of people do this every day, just eyeballing it. And arguably it might be a bit more necessary for the 12mm, just because you've got to get it a bit more precise. With 18mm it's easier to eyeball it. But people eyeball this stuff all the time and it doesn't go wrong. I just liked the idea. I use these and I quite liked having them, so I'd like the idea of just having it as a reasonably useful tool and something I can make myself, making a little jig. So yeah, once again I'm waffling too long, so I'll stop and start making stuff. You're a helpful pussycat. Yeah, you're going to help me make some jigs? No, not really, are you? Alright, that's the table saw work done, and you can see basically what I'm trying to do is take this back to the staves, so you can see it's kind of glued together like this, like a worktop is. And so what I'm doing is, in order to avoid any of those glue joints, not that it matters for a tiny little jig like this, but still, I'm just going to chop it into the staves, and then I'm using whole pieces of wood. These two narrow bits are going to be the fences that go up against the edge of the board. I'm going to use this for the actual bit with the holes in. So in order to make sure I get stuff in a straight line, let me show you. Alrighty, so I've cut these down so that they're just the staves, the original blocks of wood. I'll set my fence there. What I've done is I've got the smallest drill bit I can get in here. Annoyingly, I tried a 1mm drill bit and the chuck wouldn't grab it. I couldn't actually get purchase. So I've got a 1.5mm. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide it up tight against the fence, and I'm going to put a little tiny hole in either end, and then I'll connect those with a ruler with a pencil line so that I can see my line for drilling. And at this point, that line can be anywhere, it doesn't really matter. I've roughly marked it out, but I just need to make sure I get all my holes in a line, and then afterwards I can make sure that I position the fence in the right place, that line is now 9mm or 6mm inbound. But to start with, it's just about getting a straight line. So just two tiny little marks that I can connect with a pencil line for now. And being warm, that gives me an excuse to use these yellow leads I've got for my tracer thing. But you know what, I'm not really sure that yellow line's any better than a dark line. I think I'm just going to go with a normal pencil. Yeah, normal pencil line, much more visible. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the 18mm and the 12mm at the same time, because I'm going to need to be swapping drill bits. And it just makes it easier to do both of the 2mm holes, both of the 2.5mm holes, or with the fence in the same place, or with the drill bit in thing. Alright, that is a slightly darker piece of walnut, so it is a bit harder to see the line on that one compared to the lighter piece, but I guess that's just natural variation in walnut. I can still see it, that's the important thing. So I'll explain the idea with this line. I don't need it for drilling because I've got the fence set on the drill press, so the drill press will just make them in a line anyway, with the centres in a line. The idea with this pencil line is that I've got a piece of plywood where I've marked up the centre line on both sides. After I've drilled my holes, I get that lined up perfectly on the pencil line there, and then when I'm sticking my fence down with glue or pins or whatever I use, I butt that up against the plywood and then I stick it down there, and then I know that my drill holes, which are along this line, are going to be lined up exactly 9mm inbound, or 6mm for the 12mm one. So that's the idea with that. Now let's get on with a bit of drilling. Well, there we go. Some holes getting progressively bigger. The eagle-eyed among you might spot that I made a mistake. I actually started on 2.5, not 2, so I've added in the 2s at the ends, which means I've ended up going up to 6.5. But never mind. I mean, when I'm ever going to want to make a 6.5mm hole in the edge of some 12mm ply, who knows? But for the sake of completeness, they're both the same. All right, so I've got my bit of ply with its pencil centre line lined up here, clamped down, thank you match fit, onto the piece of wood, align nicely. So now I just need to take a fence piece, plonk it on there, super glue it on, reinforce with a couple of screws after the glue's dried, cut the whole thing down to size. Uh-oh, mixing and matching my brands here, that's a bit of a faux pas. Never mind, I'll live. The old squeezy squeezy. I think I got most of that on my workbench, but never mind. Hopefully that's not squeezing underneath the ply and gluing the ply to the wood. Guess we'll find out. Hooray, it didn't. Right, let's just slide that on there, centred, centred, centred. Yeah, that's nicely centred the whole way along. So obviously I've got to chop this down to size, maybe give it some nice chamfered corners or something, I don't know. Make it look a bit nicer than it does right now. This not being totally aligned here is going to probably annoy me. I wonder if I can get it along the table saw or if it's too thin. I suppose I could sand it. I'll see. Right, let's do it with this one. This is going to be a bit harder clamping the 12mm TBH. It's sod's law that the 18mm one was the easier one to do, and the 12mm one that's arguably more useful because 6mm is harder to eyeball is the harder one to clamp. Check. Centered. Yeah, I mean, 6.5mm hole in the edge of some 12mm for overkill, isn't it, for anything, but never mind. Good, right, let's get those cut down. So to use some popular internet slang, here's how it started and here's how it's going. I've just cut them all down to size, sort of cut them at a bunch of angles on the corners just to make it look a bit more interesting. Yeah, I still need to write the numbers for the hole sizes on them so I don't have to count on my fingers every time I use them. That's the 18mm one, that's the 12mm one. Obviously you can see things are much closer to the edge there. In order to get the backs reasonably flush, I broke out the old number 4, which is something I don't tend to do very often, but I thought I'd give it a go. What I have done though is I've planed that one not at 90 degrees, you can see now, but it doesn't matter because it's the inside face that counts when I'm putting it up against the ply. This is just cosmetic here, but obviously it slopes up that way because I wasn't able to plane it flat because, as I say, I don't break that out very often. But yeah, that's what they look like. I'm pretty happy with those. I mean, like I say, still wood though, you know, but it's not plywood and it's not quite as tatty as these ones are. So hopefully being a hardwood, it might be a bit longer before the holes begin to enlarge. I mean, they haven't got that much bigger on these, to be fair. Like they're not, you know, gigantic or anything. It's just part of the usefulness of these little jigs is to hold the drill bit kind of perpendicular, as it were. So yeah, still the same plea. If there are any metal workers out there who'd be happy to make metal versions of these, that would be absolutely amazing. But anyway, and there we are with a bit of writing on, just so that I can tell which one's which in 6 months' time when I can't remember what I did anymore. Right, thanks very much everyone. See you later.